Let me see any other questions here. I've done my NLP training up to trainer level. What different things will I learn that I don't already know? This is a really good question, and I think the frame of the HCT is what we call mastery. And mastery, the metaphor I like to use here is, I sometimes find myself kind of, frankly, a little bit concerned and frustrated by people who say, "Oh, I already know that. I already know that." It's kind of like somebody saying, you know what? I don't need to brush my teeth. I know how to brush my teeth perfectly. Why should I already know how to do that? Why should I brush my teeth? It's not about knowing how to do it. It's about applying it. It's about applying it consistently. Somebody who masters something, if you take somebody who's an Olympic runner, they don't say, "I already know how to run. I don't need to practice running." If you take somebody who is a master musician, they don't say, "Oh, I don't need to practice." In fact, I think it was the great pianist Horowitz who said, "You know what? If I don't practice for one day, I notice it. If I don't practice 2 days, my critics notice it. If I don't practice 3 days, my audience starts to notice it." So one of the keys here is about practice and daily practice. So the shift here is that again, what you see in a lot of traditional NLP programs is that the focus is on technique for this, technique for that, technique for that. Well, that's all about short-term, definable issues. When you get into many health issues, especially the serious ones, and I speak from my experience of helping my own mother heal herself from breast cancer, my wife who healed herself from breast cancer, who's just passed the 6-year mark in her own healing. I've worked, of course, countless other people in many different kinds of issues, working with addictions, working with many things. These are not a matter of a single technique. It's a matter of supporting somebody on a life transforming journey. And that's what HCT is about, which means, of course, you need all those tools. You need all those things, and you will learn. Even as an NLP trainer, I guarantee you will be learning new techniques and new models. But you will also be learning how to do things that you have no technique and no model for. You will be putting things into, as we said, not just a technique, but what does it take to create a daily practice? Another thing that we work a lot with are going to be issues that you would never meet in some of these typical NLP trainings, like how do you work with sometimes very complex and challenging double binds? Double bind it's not just about conflict. In NLP, you have conflict models, but a double bind is a special form of conflict where we say, you're wrong if you do and you're wrong if you don't. And these are often at the foundation of some of the most serious challenges and problems that we have to live with and work through. So, we, like, for example, one of the things that we've been doing in this module is there's a process of how do I get myself into, a fundamental state of health and well-being and live from that state. How do I maintain that state even under very difficult, challenging, uncertain circumstances? There's no single technique for that. You need many. You need to practice. You need to have support, etc. So I think these are some of the things that I know. Again, I've been an NLP trainer for over 40 years. I did some of the first NLP trainings that designed, with Bandler, Grinder, and that early group, the first practitioner trainings, first master practitioner trainings, first trainer trainings. And I can say, the HCT is something it's nothing like that in a certain way. It's of course, you're going to be using, and for people who want to say, I want to use my master practitioner tools, you're going to get that opportunity in HCT. For people who say, I want to learn something new, you're going to get that opportunity in HCT. For people who say, well, I want to have some change for myself, you're going to get that opportunity in HCT. For somebody who says, I really want to be able to help other people, to make these life transitions, you will get that opportunity in HCT. So, the other thing we've been bringing in here is that certainly I can tell you, Susie, Tim, and Chris Halbum and I, we are naturally also, we're always working with clients. We're creative people. So we're always bringing in to what are our newest developments. You know, Chris and Tim Halbum will be bringing in the work with their dynamic spin release, which I'm sure is not taught in most people's practitioner programs. I've been bringing in and engaging a lot of the work that I've developed over the past 10, 15 years with Stephen Gilligan on generative change and generative coaching. So because we say, for example, we say, for me, having done this work for 40 years with people, having witnessed what people would call miracles, certainly for example, in my mother's case and others, I know that healing goes hand in hand with creativity, with generativity. You need to be able to regenerate, to create. So again, I think the HCT is a program like no other, and that it will give you, again, the opportunity to practice and deepen what you already know. One of the things we were doing today is taking an even deeper dive into the whole notion of what is a belief and how do you work with beliefs. How do we, how do you calibrate a belief? We were saying, you don't just believe something, I don't believe it. You can partially believe something. You can believe it a little bit. You can believe it in your head, but not in your heart. So, this is not just about how do I learn the theory and techniques of NLP. It's about how do I put this into practice in a way that actually pragmatically creates greater, healing and wholeness in a person. It's not about working with theory. It's about what is actually necessary, that even the two clients that have the same kind of problem, you cannot do the same thing with, because they are different. Their circumstances are different. What has to be done and the quality of rapport is going to have to be different. So this is actually about, I developed this, and I know Chris and Tim and Susie, we developed this because we care about people's health. We don't care about just teaching NLP. We care about making a difference. Each and every one of us has not only used all these processes with people who are close to us that we love, in addition to our clients, but also with ourselves. We have applied these things to our own health issues. And so it's part of why we are so passionate about it, why we are so confident about it, is that we know that this makes a difference. We know that this works. So, and again, as I said, it's about really, and then especially in this module I'm doing here, it's really about seeing the process of healing, health, wholeness, resilience as a journey, as what we would call a hero's journey. Where I remember in the case of my own mother, when she had this, very severe recurrence of metastatic breast cancer, she was given months to live, and only months. And I remember having a conversation with her in the very beginning about this notion of a hero's journey. What's the calling here? What is this calling you to do? At the beginning, she did not feel like a hero at all. She felt like I'm a victim, And so it's actually very interesting to see this transformation when she began to realize there is a calling here, and it's not just about me. It's about how my healing can also make a powerful difference on my own children, my daughter, my granddaughter. So, so this notion of health as a lifestyle process. How do I say this? It's this, the reason that we do the HCT is that it provides people who are in any kind of a healing process with all the resources that you're not going to get in physical therapy, you're not going to get from the doctor or the nurse in the hospital, and yet these are the things that are absolutely essential. I should say, of course, all of these processes come from our own research and our own modeling. I was presenting in this module the research that I've been doing over many years on longevity. What do the people that live the longest, healthiest, most resilient lives do? What are the differences that make a difference? Of course, there's things that relate to diet, but there's a lot of things that relate to mindset. There's a lot of things that relate to meta programs and beliefs. we've been modeling, we've modeled all kinds of forms of healing, from shamanism, faith healing, as well as, obviously, as the psychological techniques used by people like Milton Erickson. So what we're bringing here is a body of knowledge that you can't get anywhere else.